It's your girl Diamond, and I'm back with my own review of LAMH S. Listen, this episode was good, but let me also say this. This episode also showcased that the Skies really be thinking that they are bigger than the program. They think that they have the ability to judge and criticize other people's situation, but then we supposed to be on eggshells and be cautious about bringing up things that they don't want to talk about. Yeah, okay, fine. Excuse me. We get Nell and Tisha. They sitting down talking about how they can move forward. And to be honest, I feel like Nell has that hope. Tisha, she only wants to be cool with Nell is because she wants to get into her business. She wants something to talk about. That's it, that's all. And I can already tell she is setting up to have an issue with Destiny, all because of what Destiny might or might not have done. And Nell's gonna be the reason why. And I just don't have the time for it. Because all Tisha is doing is just relaying every single thing that Nell has expressed about what she got going on. Dealing with the aftermath of Chris losing his license. Her father is living with her. Her kids are not behaving. She's taking care of the grandkids on top of running her daycare. Like, it's a whole lot. And that's all Tisha keeps on repeating is what Nell got going on. Tisha is never talking about anything that she got going on, anything that she can bring up. No. All right? And just throughout this entire conversation, I don't think nothing got resolved as far as like clearing up what has taken place, because we also talk about the 80s party where things went left when Tisha wanted Miss Wanda to go after Miss Nell, and Miss Nell was very hurt by what Wanda said about how Wanda made a comment that Nell and her mother probably had issues before she passed and she didn't clear it up before then. That was not her place to say it. That was rude, that was ignorant, that was hurtful and very insensitive. And to be honest though, I wouldn't want to be cool with anybody after that. I wouldn't want nothing to do with you. I would just say hi and bye and keep it pushing. We are co-workers. We will never be friends, all right? Because how can you not understand what your mother said to me was very hurtful when we have already been seeing Nell having a hard time with grieving her mother. She mentions that when her mother passed away, she was a zombie for about 3 years. She was living but not living, you know what I'm saying, had no response to everything. Tisha want to now act like she understands, but then Tisha wants to completely absolve herself about how anything that she might have done to Miss Nell is not the issue. It's what Miss Nell got going on that is having a whole lot to deal with. And it's like, no, fuck you, Tisha. You have no self-awareness to actually show empathy and understanding for other people. Okay, you need to be accountable and admit you started with Miss Nell for no reason because you wanted drama. That's it, that's all. Anything else that Nell got going on, that is her to handle. That's not for you to talk about and see if she's gonna talk about it. Hell no, because that's her life, not yours. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like anytime that Tisha wants to be cool with somebody is because she wants to know how can they live a perfect life when they have a whole lot going on. That's how I view it. I view Tisha as somebody who loves to be in a competitive mindset, likes to be in comparison to other people, because she can't understand how you can have so much going on in your life, but yet you're still smiling, you're still happy. Why aren't you crumbling? Why aren't you trying to fall off the face of the earth? That's what Tisha wants to understand, because she can't get it, because she doesn't want to admit that her life isn't perfect. She doesn't want to admit that she got shit going on. So she's too busy trying to find cracks and talk about other people instead of worrying about herself. Can't do it. But that was the end of that moment. Like, I don't believe nothing that Tisha says. I don't believe that she's being genuine. I don't believe she's trying to be understanding and supportive. Fuck no. She's just trying to be messy. She's trying to be all up in the mix. That's it. That's all. Moving on. Kimmi and Maurice. They meet up at this We Up building. It's supposed to be a very renowned building in Huntsville. It was an old radio station that was also used to host other kind of events. Excuse me. They just purchased it, and Maurice has the idea of making it into an event center. And Kimmi also wants to use it as a spot to perform their catering services. Here's my thing. I'm not knocking that you guys have the ability to buy all of these properties to turn them into something, but it sounds to me, y'all be having the resources to buy them, but y'all don't have the resources to do anything else with them to see a return on your investment. You know what I'm saying? Because this is another opportunity where you guys can actually make a lot of money, but yet you guys are still stagnant. You guys are still at the starting point. You guys have not made no real plans. It is just sitting there. Then she talks about Lance's party, and then she makes a comment that it was just them. Nobody else was there. Didn't see any of Lance's friends. And when they do their big party to open up whatever it is they're going to do with this building, it's going to be way bigger than Lance. And I feel like, what the fuck did that come from? Why are you comparing other people's parties as if you've thrown parties? All we've seen you do, Kimmi, is host a little tasting that was just a cast. You hosted a graduation party for Jalen, just the cast. And then you hosted his housewarming, just the cast. Like, maybe Lance keeps a small circle. Maybe he didn't want his friends on camera. Like, I don't understand why you're trying to compare that, oh, we'll have a bigger party than what Lance did. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, fuck you, Kimmi. Then Kimmi brought up Nell, about how Nell is dealing with a lot with her grandkids, with her dad, and the aftermath of Chris losing his license. And then Kimmi wants it to be a moment for her to give off her perspective of what could have happened to a broker, because she is in fact a broker. And all it takes is one client to say something. That's it. Someone can report to the commission and said you tried to do something, and it all comes down to you paying the fine, right? But once the issue is, presented, you have time to cure it. And if you want to appeal, you can appeal. Here's my issue with that, Kimmi. Why are you trying to act like we are lost about what could have happened with Chris, as if we didn't think that could have been the case, that might have happened to him? He said that he was trying to help out a friend and it bit him in the ass. Like, we got it. We got the gist. We don't need to ask you for insight, and nobody asks you for insight. Like, why are you trying to tell us something we don't already know? Moving on. So, Kimmi also says that I don't wish any ill will on anybody else's business because we are entrepreneurs. That is our livelihood. That's how we make our money. And if Chris would want me to speak on his behalf, I will do it if he will be transparent. Kimmi, what the fuck is that? Like, how dare you try to insinuate that Chris is being secretive about what he did or didn't do in regards of him losing his license when, Chris has said he can only speak on what he could speak on because the investigation is still going on. It is still a legal matter, so he can't talk about everything. And also, Kimmi, you and Maurice are the last people to be questioning anything about transparency, because you didn't want to talk about the DUI last season. You made it an issue that everybody was talking about it, as if nobody was supposed to talk about it, as if it wasn't being presented on social media for people to find out and talk about it. Like, make it make sense. And you and Maurice's story were not adding up, and people were asking you questions and you felt the way about it. So fucking miss me. It's still reading off as you feel a way about Nell calling you out for not being transparent, because you're not, okay? You're not being open. You're not being honest. So for you to try to say, oh, Chris should be more transparent about what he did and didn't do, well, why you act like you know what he did? And why are you wondering if he was going to be honest or not? Like, y'all are not being honest. Y'all are not being real. And y'all are not showing actual support about what Chris got going on. Y'all are too busy judging and criticizing. Moving on. So we are outside the building. Marsau drives by, and they wish that he would have pulled into the building across the street, because across the street is where they purchased that restaurant called Jordan Lane, and they purchased that building almost 3 years ago. Now Kimmi wants to tell Maurice that he needs to talk to Marsau, not as a brother, as an owner, and tell him that he needs to get on his shit and finish this project. See, Kimmi, this is exactly what you get. You too busy trying to poke holes and judge other people's situation when you need to worry about your own situation. You talking so much shit when you need to tell your brother-in-law to get his shit handled, to get his job done, okay? And, she keeps going on and on about how she really is trying to keep it all in the family. She doesn't mind using the family, but we're still sitting here like fucking ducks. You know what I'm saying? We should not be past the year of getting this restaurant up and running. It should have been handled. And do you think LaChastity is going to wait? You know what I'm saying? Like, how long do you think she's going to wait? You know what I'm saying? LaChastity was the chef that they presented at the tasting in 2024, who was the potential tenant to run her restaurant there. But again, Kimmi, that's on you, because you knew that Marsau is slow when it comes to creating his projects. You knew that. So I don't feel sorry for you whatsoever. I don't care how you feel. I don't care how this is frustrating for you, because you were already aware of how Marsau never completes his projects on time, okay? So of course, she is now saying that her priority is Jordan Lane. There's a lot riding on it. And we are pretty much losing our rights to say we can keep our word if we can't even present this opportunity for somebody who is willing to say, hey, I will take over this space, I will pay lease to you. Can't do that. And we're stifling other people's opportunity to run their business when we're not ready to open. Again, that's on you. And again, that's also reading off as you guys aren't business people, good business people, if you guys can't keep up with the promise that you made. If you guys can't put your money where your mouth is and put action into completing a fucking project so you can make more money, so people can't keep using you for business. So telling Maurice, don't be all giggly, don't be all goofy, be fucking serious. I need you to be on my side with this. But again, Maurice knows his brother, and so do you, Kimmi. You have known the Scotts for a very long time. You know how they operate. You are conforming like them as we speak. So again, I don't care how you feel. I don't care how this is frustrating you, because you knew this whole time. Moving on. Tisha and Marsau, another ridiculous, lame scene. They're doing some bike riding, and all they do is talk about other people. That's it. That's all. Okay. And Tisha, she is just so obvious when she is itching to talk about other people. So we talk about Ken and Trish, you know, what they got going on. Don't really care. So we talk about Trish putting comments under Lance's page. You know, she's lying about how she didn't do that. She fat fingered it. I don't know what the fuck is a fat fingered. I had to look that up. What the hell is fat fingered? Basically, she was just trolling. She was being thirsty. You know what I'm saying? Then she wants to be like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I was sending that, all cap and bullshit. Moving on from there, Tisha really wants to bring up Nell and how she is dealing with the aftermath of Chris losing his license. You know, she had to bring up that Nell was the one who had served the papers of Chris being revealed that he lost his license and everything. And then Marsau really do think he has a leg to stand on to talk about transparency, and that the Fletchers are only transparent about other people, but they're not transparent about their own lives. Excuse me? What do you mean they're not transparent about their own lives? We're seeing it right now. We're seeing Nell constantly talk about what she got going on. We don't see y'all do that. And then he felt some type of way about when they were in the discussion of doing business with them. He felt some type of way about them asking him how he manages his business. So we see the flashback back in 2024 where they're sitting in his office discussing a partnership or collaborating or whatever. And Chris wants to know, what is the selling point for him to work with Marsau? What is beneficial for him? And then Nell threw out there that Kimmi has made statements that Marsau don't complete any projects. That is a fact. Now, again, I don't know what Marsau was talking about, how people live in my projects, people drink in my projects. I only can recall Black being the only completed project you have done on this show. That's it. That's all. And you can't feel a way if somebody is questioning how you work. Because if they're going to do business with you, they're going to want to know, how do you handle your business? How do you operate your business? How do you manage to complete your business? That's anybody. So he wants to ask Chris if it's true or not, even though he is hearing it from the grapevine. He heard it from Tisha, who heard it from Nell, so it is obviously true. And then he wants to know, how is it going to affect him because Chris lost his license, and how is that going to make me look? Nothing's going to make you look anything. You don't have nothing going on with Chris, so why are you trying to make it about you? And Tisha talked about meeting up with Nell, how they moved on, they moved forward. So we are going to see if the men can handle their issues themselves, and we're going to stay out of it. But who knows? If it goes left, we'll see who's going to hold their end of the bargain. I doubt it's going to be you, Tisha. You're going to want to automatically jump in and defend something that Marsau's not even going to care to defend. Moving on. They want to set up a confrontation to see if Chris is going to be honest and transparent about what he got going on, in case somebody does it to them in the future. Why are you guys trying to set up of whether or not Chris is going to be honest about him losing his license, as if we didn't hear him say he lost his license? Like, you and Tisha are the same, okay? You checked Tisha about how she was being messy, telling Trish about Ken. Now, you are doing the same exact thing, trying to set up Chris to be confronted as if he's going to be honest about him losing his license. Same thing. I don't care how you try to slice it. I don't care how you try to put all these different words and soliloquies. Y'all are both trying to be messy and get involved in other people's mess, but not say you being messy. I don't care. Because y'all wouldn't like if anybody dug that deep into y'all personal lives, into y'all businesses. Can't do it. So now we move on to Chris and Marsau. Chris pops up on Marsau. Marsau takes him all throughout the plaza of what he got going on. His new office is not being completed, and he's talking about how the projects he can't get done is because those are the projects he is paying out of pocket, right? But he doesn't want to get to them because he wants to complete the projects that he's getting paid for. So, sounds to me, you don't know how to manage your projects, and you probably don't have enough finances laying around to complete these other projects that you have to pay for. So when he's in the other office, he can't get this one done until he finishes Tisha's office, because Tisha's office is next door. And he is renting the other office, but somebody came in and purchased a whole new rent agreement, so he has to get out. Like, to me though, Marsau, you trying to sell and flex that you got a lot going on, but every word that have come out of your mouth is, I can't finish, I can't finish, I can't finish. So who is really on top of their game right now? Who is really navigating a successful business if you can't even complete all these projects? Make it make sense. So in his roundabout way, he wanted to ease in and question Chris about his license and wonder if it's true. Chris said, yes, my license has been revoked. I tried to help somebody out. It didn't go. I haven't totally lost my license, but I have attorneys looking into it. And as far as I'm doing, I'm hanging in there. You know, I'm cool. I'm good. It's like when you being laid off, you can always get another job. I feel like Marsau wasn't ready for Chris to be so honest and cool about it. He was kind of hoping to force him out. He was kind of hoping to like tiptoe to get him to express and say it. But he was like, yeah, I'm dealing with it. It kind of knocked the wind out of Marsau's sails. I think he really wanted to have a moment, and it did not work in his favor. So then he wanted to make it about him, about how he wasn't aware of him losing his license and that he should have been informed. Chris was like, first of all, you going way left. You trying to make it sound something that is not. Like, what are you talking about? Didn't we have a conversation about doing business? Yeah, and we never had another conversation after that. Yes, the conversation happened, but that's it. It was a conversation. There was no paperwork. There's no legal binding contract. So what we doing here? Then he wants to defend that you should have told me about it. Like, you probably was dealing with losing your license of the time that we were talking. No. That was back in 2024. The news about Chris losing his license didn't come out until the summer 2025. So he was still, in fact, actively working and was making a lot of money and doing great business. Hence why you wanted to work with him, because he does good business. And at the end of the day, though, Marsau, you want to call him out about how he didn't keep up with wanting to work with you. Neither did you. And I think you were the one who mentioned working with him. You were the one who wanted to collab with him. And I love that Chris turned it back on him and said, let me ask you something. Since you come to me about how I didn't tell you about my license, did you tell him about your lawsuits by the time we had our conversation? He looked shocked. He looked stuttering. He said, no. Okay, so bad. So I don't have no right to tell you anything, just like you don't have no right to tell me anything. But then he wants to say I'm the plaintiff. The plaintiff part doesn't matter, Mark. So that's semantics. You were going through a lawsuit that could have affected your company, that could have affected your business, and you never said anything to anybody. And again, this is also a testament that Marsau and Tisha never talk about what they got going on, because we've known about their lawsuits outside the show that have happened while during the show, and they never brought it up. I don't know why we have to tiptoe around what they got going on, but yet they want everybody to be upfront and honest about what they've seen on social media, but y'all don't want the same thing done to y'all. Yeah, not cool whatsoever. That's not fucking fair. And Marsau, you're not doing a good job by trying to question him, and you feel a way about him inquiring about how to do business with you, when this is how a lot of people do business. And you can't feel a way if nobody is going to work with you because you'll know how to handle your business. Like Chris was like, am I supposed to get on the bullhorn and tell everybody that I lost my license? Marsau said, not everyone, just me. He said, who the fuck are you? What are you talking about? We have no contract. We have no legal documents. We have not done anything together. We don't have nothing, sir. So you really feeling the way about something that has nothing to do with you is laughable. Really fucking laughable. And Chris feels like Marsau isn't coming from a genuine place. He is just being him. He didn't have no interest in really trying to reach out and be supportive of Chris. Hell no. He just wanted to embarrass him. He just wanted to laugh at his expense in regards to him losing his license. See, what I notice about Marsau and Tisha, that they both like to target other people who they believe is more successful than them. They like to poke holes. They like to look at cracks and expose those cracks because they don't feel that they are reaching a better level in business, a better level in relationships, a better level in just how they are viewed to the public. They want to be that it couple. They want to be that power couple that nobody can break, nobody can infiltrate, but they want to infiltrate other people. They want to knock them a couple of pegs down because you guys are never showcasing how to be actually genuine person, genuine people, to actually show support and care for when other people are not really feeling well or not doing well. Y'all like to joke at their expense. Y'all like to weaponize what they got against them as if this is the reason why you're in this mess. When somebody does that to y'all, then we're like attacking another marriage. We're attacking y'all's company. We're attacking y'all's livelihood. It's all fucking cap and bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Then Marsau, he wants to do the whole "you are a pillar of the community" speech on Chris and how what he did affects everybody else. Chris said, "You're not telling me nothing I don't already know." And listen, as far as him saying how he has done a lot for the community, yes, I am aware. But him and his wife have nothing to do with what the community feels. The stuff he did to ruin his license, that was on him, but the community don't need to know everything. The community don't need to be told or to be in the know of what he did. I get it. He is gaining a lot of respect in the community because he has worked for many years. So has Nell. They have done a lot to showcase their love for the community, but they're not obligated to tell anybody else about what they got going on. When it's about them, it's about them figuring out what they need to do for their family. Nobody else needs to know. So Marsau, you can fucking miss me and tell that to your own fucking brother, because that was the same conversation y'all had with him when he didn't want to be held accountable for how he got a DUI. And he also said, listen, my name carries a lot of weight around here. I'm more of a pillar than you can ever be. And that right there, when Marsau could not have a comeback, that's when he knew he shouldn't have poked at Chris. He should not have think he can check Chris and sun him, because you can't sun nobody, Marsau. Anything you think you can tell somebody else, you really should look at how you represent, because the mirror you trying to point at Chris, please look at yourself in that mirror, because when it comes to Chris and Nell, they have way more experience in business than everybody else. Okay, while they have a few years of experience, y'all did not come up and gain a name for yourself no way more than Chris and Nell did. They've gained a name for themselves. They know who they know. They have connections. Y'all don't have connections, okay? So, I don't know. Marsau in his roundabout way assumed that when he thought that they couldn't get along wasn't because of their wives, but now our wives are cool. It's the fact that you don't fuck with me. Listen, Marsau, nobody cares to be your friend. Nobody wants to do anything with you. You know what I'm saying? And I honestly think you don't know how to work well with others, because you don't give credit where credit is due. And I feel like you and your wife makes it hard for y'all to navigate how to handle different relationships, because y'all are too concerned about how to poke fun at everybody else's situation and not liking when somebody does it to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, Marsau, you can fucking miss me, okay? I don't know if production told you needed to do something to make this an interesting scene, or you needed to do something so you can be on the screen looking like a fucking dumbass, because you like looking like a dumbass. Moving on. Okay, so Chris heads back home. He sees Nell outside doing some gardening, and he tells her what just took place between him and Marsau. Marsau inviting him to his office to talk about what new projects he has coming up, what projects he's about to get to, and he just came at me as to why I did not tell him about my license being revoked, and he wanted to make it seem as if I was a bad businessman because I did not let him know that my license was getting revoked. I do agree with Chris. Marsau was definitely trying to insinuate that Chris is a bad businessman. Chris does shady things in his business, which wasn't his place to do so. And then we talk about us doing business with them, which was about a year ago. And he felt the way that I didn't let him know at that time, but nothing happened at that time. And as far as what did happen, I still don't think I should have told you anything, because we are not in any business deals together. We don't have any contract. We don't have any legal paperwork. So the way that he came at me and the way he wanted to turn the conversation around in that way, it wasn't cool. So I had to check him on that. So Nell was like, he got the real Chris Fletcher today. Absolutely he did. And Marsau believes that he's untouchable. Marsau thinks that if he is constantly manipulating and gaslighting that nobody is going to reach that point to pretty much go off on him. And I think that Chris was ready to go off on him. That's why Marsau backed down. That's why Marsau laughed. He laughs in disbelief, and he laughs in like embarrassment in a way where he's like, I'm not going to allow you to see me sweat. I'm not going to allow for you to act like you sunned me when you know you sunned me, but I'm just going to joke my way out of it because I know I can't win in this situation. That's exactly how Marsau acts. And he brings up how Marsau brought up how his license for the community, you know, everyone is affected by how he lost his license. But Chris said, I don't see how the community is affected because nobody is coming with me to that office building to take the test. My license is my license. Can't nobody use my license to sell anything. But Nell said, I never thought I would agree with Marsau, but I remember telling you this earlier in a different way about how you do have an obligation to the community. I don't agree with the way that he said it, but I can't be your wife and not be a hypocrite. I feel like Nell was reaching on the path of, we have done a lot for the community. The community does reflect on us to do business with them. The community respects us. So this is something that the community never expected for you to be in this situation. But again, like I said before, they are not obligated to put out a statement as to what's going on with Chris and his license. He's already taken care of it. It is about him and his family. So they shouldn't be affected at all about it. But I do appreciate Nell telling her husband how this could have been what he meant, because I told you this before. And he did appreciate the way that Nell broke it down, the way that Nell, you know, explained it to him. And he would go off on how she explained it versus on how Marsau explained it, because he still stands on the fact that Marsau said the way he wanted to say it, and he wanted to poke fun at my situation and not be a real friend to me. And I agree. Marsau wasn't trying to be a real friend. He was trying to poke fun. And Chris is like, you know, I'm tired of all of this. You know, I am to myself. I don't get into nobody else's business. And I know I'm human and I made a mistake and I'm going to get that rectified. But let's not make this a big deal. You know what I'm saying? And Nell is now concerned about how her and Tisha are going to figure this out, because she and Tisha just got into a good space. And we aren't going to get into our husband's mess. But if our husbands aren't going to move forward, how are we going to play this out? But we're just going to have to wait and see. I feel like I'm going to side with Chris and Nell more, because Tisha and Marsau, they never like to take accountability. They never like to be accountable for the things that they say and do that keeps them at odds with other people. But we're going to move on from there. Maurice pulls up on Marsau at Scott Manor because he saw him on live bragging about how there's progress being made on Scott Manor, and he wanted to see it for himself. Come to find out, when he pulled up on Marsau, all Marsau was doing was just standing by his truck. There are no workers. I don't see no excavators. I don't see anybody drilling anything. It's just him posing and flexing on social media, acting like he's doing some work when he's not doing any work. And while he's just trying to show him what new fixtures they have, new glass doors that they're going to put in, but it's kind of like all of this is just sitting here. Why aren't the workers putting it together? Come to find out, he needs to have a proper license or something to get approved for to do this kind of work. And now he's saying that there's a difference with commercial than residential. I thought you would have known that already, that there is a difference with commercial real estate and residential real estate. You are creating a house for the residential area called Whitehall. You had to get the proper licensing to get that built. So what's the confusion about getting this house built? Is it land? Is it zoning? Like, what is the issue? Then he says that the home could be done around 2026. It is now 2026. And y'all filmed this around 2025, and yet shit still ain't done with this damn house. There hasn't been no change, no progress. And Maurice is getting right into it of how he felt watching him on live brag about completing his project when you're not doing that same want and passion to complete the project I'm asking of you, where I'm paying you a lot of money to figure out. And you know, Marsau just does this thing where he's like, I don't know what you want me to do, Reese. I don't have a mechanical license. I don't have this. I don't have that. That's a cop-out, bruh. You own a construction company where you are a part of the real estate community, where you have built houses from scratch before. You know the difference. So why are you making it seem as if you wouldn't know how to inquire about somebody with a mechanical license to complete the work you need? And Maurice has defended Marsau against other people who have said he moves incredibly slow. You are trying to figure things out. But now I feel like you're taking our kindness for weakness, because I don't understand how our project could be something you can't complete. Our project cannot be that hard when it's less than 1,000 square foot. And Marsau was like, I don't know what you want. Like, the size matters. It's not that the size don't matter, Marsau. It's the fact that you make it difficult for you to not figure out how you can figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Because if the project is only a small thing and it is less than 1,000 square foot, that shouldn't be an issue for you to figure out and complete. You shouldn't have a whole lot of issues and a whole lot of excuses to complete that type of project, because compared to what Maurice wants you to do versus what you're trying to complete, you might as well get that out the way first. And Maurice is all about how my name is out there. I'm the one that is putting this out there for somebody to believe in me. And when I say it's going to get done, I have to tell them that it's going to get done. And I need for you to give me the knowledge so I can tell them it's going to get done when it needs to get done. I'm going off of your word, but now I can't even go off on my word. So I agree with Maurice. He is feeling very disappointed with the fact that he was told the project was going to be done. And it's been a year past that part where his brother is just making him look like a fool, watching him be very unprofessional. And apparently the person that they were telling that was going to get this space, she lost her zeal. You know what I'm saying? She saved up. She was going to give us the money and everything. And now it's kind of like, do we even tell her that the place is ready when we don't even know when the place will be ready? And Marsau said, I have nothing to do with her zeal. I don't have nothing to do with that. Listen, Marsau, you might not care that somebody was trying to save and use this space for their business, but if you made them a promise or you gave them your word that you were going to complete this project on time, then it is on you. It's on you. Because if I'm co-signing on what you're telling me, and yet I'm the one looking like a fucking dumbass because I should have known better than to trust your word when I know you work very, very slow to complete any projects. You're fired should have been something very easily to say to Marsau when he didn't even show any updates. He didn't give y'all any estimates, no more than a month after you've agreed for him to do the work. Your fire should have been it. And he's just making a whole lot of excuses left and right about how I don't do this, I don't make all the decisions, I don't do none of that, all I do is the drawings, and I follow the drawings. Maurice, like, how long does it take to complete a drawing? And how long does it take to change a drawing? I don't think it takes that long. There are many ways you can change a design of a drawing for a blueprint design, for a house or a restaurant or some type of storefront, where you can easily just take some things out, make sure it modifies the design you want. And if there is an issue with the materials that they're looking for, that they need to come with a substitute, then just explain that. You act like it's very difficult. And Maurice is literally looking at him like, you honestly believe that I can't get drawings changed, that can speed up the project when it can? And again, we are already past the year that we needed this to be complete. Like, Marsau makes it difficult for himself because he doesn't communicate. He doesn't give updates. And he just threw this out there that he was just thinking about their project today. Somebody's going to find something for them. Maurice was like, you should have been found something for us 6 months ago. And he keeps on making excuses how I'm not an engineer, I'm not an architect. Then what the hell are you, Marsau? If you don't know the ins and outs of what it means to design anything, then why are you in this business? Why are you here? What other licenses do you actually have to actually complete the product? What license do you actually have that you can actually do to procure a finished project? What do you have? Like, you defending so much about what you don't know, and it's pissing me off. It's pissing Maurice off. And it's all about the communication that we know Marsau does not do well. And, you know, he's not doing his job right. Okay? And then Marsau wants to come at Maurice about how he needs to help him out. He needs to get out of his soft hands era, pick up this, pick up that, and help me out. Help me what needs to be met up to code. Help me up what needs to be approved for. And when Maurice took off his glasses, he's like, I know you're not coming at me with that shit. Listen, I know he was trolling Maurice, gaslighting him about what Kimmi said about how she wishes he was back into his construction era when he did a lot of work with his hands, because that's what attracted her the most. But Marsau, this is on you. You can't write off the work you need to do on other people. And again, Maurice, if you know your own brother is slow on his job and you know you can easily pay somebody else to do work, why didn't you do it? Okay? That's on you. So he wants him to press to get that project done. And I need you to be motivated. And if it wasn't a family situation, I don't even think we would have this conversation with you right now. Basically, you lucky I'm trying to hold myself back from not really reacting the way I need to react, because I'm a client and I hired you to do a job and you're not doing the job. I should easily treat you like just a worker and that's it. I shouldn't look at you as my brother. I shouldn't have any sympathy for you. I shouldn't understand how you operate. I should be like, I don't give a fuck what you talking about. Get my shit done. Period, point blank. And then he talks about, in order for me to motivate you, I feel like I need to get some paperwork in order. So after Maurice made that comment about how I can motivate you with paperwork, Marsau took it as, oh, you gonna sue me? And then they have a back and forth, because Marsau just don't want to understand that it is because of him that things are being slow. It's because of him things are not progressing. And when he was presented with paperwork, then he felt the way about it. Then he was like, okay, when your slimy ass, okay, motivate me, Reese. You a slimy ass attorney, you know that? And he didn't like that he was called a slimy lawyer. He didn't like that as well. And so what is that going to do for you, Marsau? Are you going to now be motivated and to do the work? So watching him walk down the hill, he said, all right, I remember that. Remember that. Don't forget that shit when you call me, okay? Because remember what you said to me as he's walking away, trying to find the exit of that long-ass driveway that they have. Then Marsau will be like, all right, I'll do it. No. You've already did enough, Marsau. You've already put your foot in your mouth, trying to gaslight and manipulate your brother into accepting that you are an extremely slow worker with the expectation people are supposed to just get with the program, get with how you operate, and just leave it at that. No. That doesn't work when you're trying to do business. And the fact that you are not even understanding where your brother is coming from is even more ridiculous. So it end off with that, where the brothers are at odds. They're not on the same page. It is always nice. Like, it's not nice. And it's not something that I strive to look at. But I enjoy watching these Scott brothers argue, because they know how they operate. These brothers know how they operate, and they know what they do. And they're almost the same person, and they call each other out when they both do almost the same exact thing. So it's like, damn. I love it, though. I really, really do. But y'all, that was pretty much the end of the episode. I really cannot wait for this upcoming episode, because we are going to see Tisha and Destiny have a screaming match, all because of what Tisha is going to assume Destiny did, as far as like talking about her. But I want to know, what exactly did she say? Was she venting about how you have come at her, or was she actually talking shit? Either way, Tisha, 9 times out of 10, I feel like you're going to create a bigger issue than it actually is, because you're not going to be honest about your feelings. But y'all, that's pretty much all I have. Please stay tuned for my next video, and I'm going to see you guys later. Bye.